Right, so without further delay, let's get started. I'm really very excited to introduce Roger Wambolt. As some of you may be aware, Roger Wambolt has been a key CorelDRAW specialist and trainer for a number of years. He is the author of a great CorelDRAW book, Bring It On Home with CorelDRAW. I've had the pleasure of working with Roger over the last few months and sitting on a few of his training sessions, and really looking forward to this session. Welcome, Roger. Would you like to start?
Certainly. Thank you very much, Kevin. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. When I was first asked to do this session, I tried to pick a topic that was near and dear to me, and I think Workspace Customization is probably one of the most powerful tools that I've come across within CorelDRAW, and it's sort of like a double-edged sword. I have to find 40 minutes to show you something that can literally take seconds to do. It's very quick and very easy to customize the interface, but suffice to say, I think I've come up with some tips and tricks and some customization along the way that will help hopefully make you a little bit more productive. I'm going to start off first of all, for those that are on the call that are new to CorelDRAW, and give you a very brief overview of the interface and what we're looking at. Across the top, we have our standard drop-down menus. Below that is the standard toolbar. Underneath that, you'll find what's referred to as the property bar or interactive property bar. I sometimes call it the context-sensitive property bar. Along the left-hand side, we have our toolbox. You'll notice that some of the tools have a little black triangle. That's an indication that there's a tool underneath there, or there's a flyout with additional tools that are sort of hiding there. Along the bottom, we have our page navigation. So you can see here I have a 5-page document, and I have my page tabs. Below this is the document color palette. Now, the document color palette actually stays with the document, so if you go from one system to the next or open up the file later on, you'll have all the associated colors with that. On the right-hand side, we have dockers, and dockers are palettes that give us additional features, additional controls over various tools and over various formatting and that sort of thing. I also have the ability to collapse the docker. I'm going to do that right now just to give me a little bit more real estate on the screen. Now, there's a number of command bars across the top here, down the side. Sometimes, or prior to CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6, customers would inadvertently sometimes remove a toolbar, and so what we've done with CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6 is we've given the ability to actually lock the toolbars, and they're locked by default. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to unlock my toolbars. If I right-click, you can see I can come down here and I can select any of these toolbars and actually bring them up onto the screen. I'm just going to close this off. If we accidentally pull a toolbar off the screen and put it into the center, you can see it's very easy to move these things around. For me to put it back where it belongs, very easy to do. Double-click the title bar on the top of the toolbar, and it will automatically put it right back up where it belongs. I'm going to get into some default settings now. Now, when we draw in CorelDRAW, by default, typically the outlines are hairline outlines, and by definition, a hairline outline is an outline, the thinnest outline possible that will be able to be printed to the default printer. When I create an object on screen, if it's a graphic object, I can simply click and drag, and you'll see that my current outline is actually quite large. It's 0.1 inch in size. Let me just show you how to change defaults in CorelDRAW. The trick here is to do this with nothing selected. So to change an outline width in CorelDRAW, from my outline pen dialog box, I'm going to get this dialog appearing, and this basically will allow me to set the default for a number of different things. I'm going to tell it that I want to change graphic properties. I'll click OK, and because I opened up the outline pen dialog box, it now presents me with this palette. In here, I can change a number of the different settings or a number of the different variables for the outline. Obviously, we have color here. I can change my default color. I can change my line width down here. I also have the ability to change line styles. So if I'm doing a technical illustration, let's say I want to do a floor plan for an office building, and maybe I want some of the elements to be red dotted lines. I want other elements to be blue dotted lines. Rather than creating a black line and then having to go in and change this, I can set defaults in here very quickly, very easily. If there's a particular line style that I'd like to use that I don't have the ability to, clicking on Edit Line Styles, I can move this along, and then simply a matter of clicking on these little squares, or I can click and drag and create my own pattern of dotted lines that I can use within the design. I can add this as one of my defaults, or I can replace an existing one. I'm just going to click Cancel on this for now. We have the ability to add a variety of different arrowheads to my lines as I create them, or line caps. And you'll also see I have calligraphy. I can stretch, change my nib size, and that sort of thing. One thing very important in here that I want to point out is the fill behind and scale with object. Now, fill behind by default, when we create an outline around, let's say, a piece of text, the outline by default is on top of the text, and if I'm using a small point font with a heavier weight outline, sometimes it can obscure the text and make it illegible. What I would want to do in that scenario is I want to fill behind. Scale with object is used quite a bit if you're doing things like creating signs, for example, or logos for sign making, that sort of thing, and then maybe you'll need that logo, scale it down to put on a business card. You'll want to ensure that if you have a heavy weight line on a large logo, when you scale that image down, if you don't have select scale with object, your line weight will not scale with the image, and you'll have an extremely heavy line, unproportionate to what it was when the logo was a little bit larger. So that's another thing you want to be cognizant of. Let's go back up here. I'm just going to create a solid line for this, and I'll click OK. So now every object that I create, or every graphic object that I create, will have that red 0.3-inch outline around the object. That goes for rectangles as well as ellipses, polygons, whatever the objects are that I'm creating. I just double-clicked my pick tool, and that selected everything on the page. From time to time throughout this session, I'll be doing some shortcut keys. You may not see what's happening, but I'll try to tell you what those are. So hopefully you'll learn a few keyboard shortcuts as we go along, and that all leads towards increased productivity and that sort of thing. So I've now changed the outline style for graphic images. To change the fill, if I want to have all objects with a solid uniform fill, maybe I want to have a cyan fill on all objects that I create. With nothing selected, it's very important to remember that, I'm going to click on my outline fill, or my fill swatch in my color palette over here. Single left click, I'm presented with the same dialog box. For this, I'm going to select graphic as well as artistic text. So let's click OK to this. And now if I create an object, you'll see that it automatically has the red outline and the cyan fill. If I type a piece of text, again, my text is now filled with cyan. This is great if I'm doing a document or let's say paragraph text. I want all of my text to be white because I'm putting on a darker background. Then I can very easily set the default color for that text to be white. Now, I'm just going to click this again. Let's go to red fill. Here, for example, I can change my dimension lines, callouts, a variety of number of things. Paragraph text, I just mentioned paragraph text to you. If I draw a paragraph text frame, and for those that are new to CorelDRAW, my text tool single click allows me to type artistic text, click and drag, I can't type and talk at the same time. Click and drag allows me to create paragraph text, and as you can see, my paragraph text is the red that I've selected it. Shift F4 will zoom me to the entire page. Double-click my pick tool. I'm going to hit delete on this. Now, that's one way to change the defaults from within CorelDRAW, or for CorelDRAW. Another way, in CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6, we've done an awful lot of work to the Object Styles Docker. And so I'm just going to, I'm having a problem with my screen here, so bear with me for a minute. The screen, because I'm projecting onto a projector, or I'm showing onto a projector right now, I wasn't able to see all of the menu. I happened to know where it was, so I was able to grab it. In my Object Styles Docker, You'll notice that I have style sets, and this of course allows me to create a style set. We're not going to get into that now, but we also have default object properties. I'm going to expand this, and here you can see the same features or options rather that I had in that palette. This palette here that I'm referring to. I'm just going to hit cancel on that. So in here, very easy for me to go through, and I can set what color I want. As default, I have the ability to change my point size. So for artistic text, I want it 48 or 58 point, and I can also set my my font. And now if I grab my text tool, simply click on the page and type, and I now have a 58 point Arial black with a red fill. So very easy in here to change all of the parameters or all of the properties of those objects. One thing you'll notice on my system here that you may not have, and that is QR code. The QR code is a feature or benefit with the premium membership. So for those that have upgraded from the standard membership to premium, you will be able to have the feature of QR code. And while I'm talking about premium memberships, other things you will notice as I move around the screen is some items have blue on those. Those are premium features. So if you're wondering why yours doesn't look the same as mine, that would be one explanation. All right, what I'm going to do now is I want to start to actually customize the interface for CorelDRAW. Now, I've mentioned to you about these drop-down menus, the toolbars, and that sort of thing. They all go together to form what we refer to as a workspace. Now, by default, when we ship CorelDRAW, CorelDRAW has two main workspaces. One is I'm going to call it a pseudo Adobe Illustrator workspace. It's not 100% accurate to the current version of Adobe Illustrator, but somebody who is moving from Illustrator to CorelDRAW, it will give a little bit of a comfort level there. And then, of course, we have the X6 default workspace. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new workspace. I'm just going to simply call this Print Cut. Here I have the ability to add a description to this workspace. The description, I have a maximum of 255 characters, and that will appear up here. If I have a number of different workspaces for different types of workflows, then I can get an idea as to which workspace I'm about to select. Maybe I want to list what tools are featured in this particular workspace, or whatever the case may be. I can base it on an existing workspace, or I can base it on one of my other workspaces. I'm going to select the existing workspace here. And let's just get rid of that. So we now have another workspace that I can go ahead and I can start to customize. To customize workspace, I'm going to expand customization. And the first thing I want to talk about is command bars. Command bars are these bars that you see down the side, across the top, and that sort of thing. You'll notice that some have check marks in them, some do not. Those that do, of course, are the ones that are currently on display. Over here I have the options, and these are the options for the specific menu bar, or for the specific command bars. If I have menu bar selected, for example, I can change my button size. I want large buttons for this. Well, let's grab my toolbox. It's a little bit more obvious when I do that. So I'm going to go from small to large. You'll notice that my toolbox icons are a lot bigger. This is great for somebody who's maybe has a little bit of a vision problem. We give the ability to see not only larger icons, but I can also adjust the border, and that basically gives me a little bit more of a, let's call it an edge pad around the icon itself. I have the ability to change default button appearance by putting caption as well as the tool, or I can go just caption only. This is great, again, for somebody who's new to the application and isn't quite sure what that particular tool is going to do. Then we have the ability to indicate that right here. The next, let me just drop this right back down. I don't want to take away from my, my real estate on this. The next thing I want to talk about is the context menu. Now, a context menu, I'm just going to click OK on this. The context menu is a menu that appears when I do a secondary or a right mouse click anywhere on the screen, and depending where I'm clicking will determine what that context menu looks like. I have the ability to modify or to edit this context menu. So let me just go back into Tools, Customization, Command Bars, and let me take the menu bar and drop that down. I'm going to select the context menu. You'll notice that this little bar appears. Next thing I have to do is select Commands, and this will then allow me to put various commands within these context menus. Now, for the most part, the context menus that we currently have in CorelDRAW, I find them to be very useful. There's no real customization that I would do to those. The only one I do from time to time is in page navigation. Because I quite often deal with multi-page documents, I was mentioning to Kevin earlier on today that this particular document is probably one of the smallest that I've created. My average document is anywhere from 40 to 65 pages, and I've gone upwards to 200 pages in a document. But so I quite often use a page sorter view. Now, for me to add something to the context menu, it's quite simple. Under my Commands menu, I know that Page Sorter View is part of the View menu. So I'll go down to View, and these are now in alphabetical order. Here we have Page Sorter View. So left-click, drag over top of my workspace, because that's where that particular context menu is, and I'm going to go down to Page tab, and here I can put this wherever I want to within this list. I'm going to put it just under the Rename page. And I'm fine, I'm happy with that. That's all I need to do from there. I'm no longer going to worry about the context menu. I'm now going to go down and I'm going to create some toolbars and a new toolbar. Now, there's a couple of ways to create new toolbars in CorelDRAW. I'll show you this way first, and then I'll show you the easy way. From the Options dialog, if I select Commands, I can actually come through here, find various commands, and then drag them right out onto the screen. The first one I want to do is boundary. Now, I can either look through here and try to find boundary, or I can go to where it is actually in the screen. I can still have access to all of these drop-downs. So from the Arrange menu, down to Shaping, and here we have boundary. It's not selected, but I can left-click and drag. I'm going to drop this. Sorry, let me try that again. I'm going to come up to, I think I'm going to unceremoniously close the application down right now. I think I did something that I didn't like. So just bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. And as we all know, I mean, working in CorelDRAW is a fairly robust application. There's a lot of features, a lot of things that you can do in the application, and as such, from time to time, Windows and the way Windows works can make Draw become a little bit unstable, and so we run into these situations from time to time. All right, so let's just go back in. So from Tools down to Customization, I'm going to select Commands. And the first one I want to do is boundary, so under Arrange menu, and I'll show you the error of my ways, what caused that. Under Shaping, I'm simply going to click on boundary. I'm not going to drag it out. And what that's done is it's automatically navigated to my effects menu where I have boundary, and now I can click and drag and drop this onto my page. The next feature that I want to add to this is, again, from the Arrange menu, and that's Break Apart. Break apart can be used if I'm trying to break curves that have subpaths within them. I want to break those apart. If I have text I want to break apart, maybe it's a contour or an object with a drop shadow. They all use the Control-K or Arrange Break Apart. Very quick, very easy just to put this onto a toolbar. Now the next thing I want to add is I'm going to add my contour. Contour can be found in the toolbox. Scroll down, and it's a matter of clicking and dragging. And watch as I drag this to this little toolbar here. You'll notice an up and down I-beam. I can also change the position and dictate where I want this to be placed. So I just added that right in there. And then the last one I want to do is Fill and Outline. So from my Fill and Outline drop down, I'm going to select Outline Width. And one thing you'll see in here that you might find a little bit confusing is that I actually see it twice. Well, the reason that is because the fill or the outline width can actually be found on a couple of different toolbars, and that's why you'll see it in here in more than one location. So just click and drag, and I'm going to drop this here. And that's all there is to it. I'll click OK to this. And now, because I have the ability to move my toolbars around and dock toolbars and that sort of thing, I can very easily, let me just move this out of here, we'll move this along, and I'll move the property bar back up. I can take this toolbar and I can just very easily slide that up there. I now have the ability to use the tools in here. So what I'm going to do is with this particular image, Shift F2 will zoom me to whatever's drawn on the screen. I'm going to create a boundary, it's a single click, and it looks like my default line weight has changed. So let me reset that. So again, it's graphic. I'm going to go in here. I'll select black, hairline, solid line, and I'll click OK. So now with this selected, simply click on boundary. Very quick, very easy. I now have a boundary around this. If I do vinyl cutting, I might want to use this as a cut line. And of course, because we ship with the roll-in palettes, we do have the cut contour color within the roll-in palette, and it's very easy to create that. If I want a bit of an offset on this, well then of course what I'll need to do is I'll want to add a contour to this. I want one step to the outside, and as you can see, very quick, very easy. By creating a custom toolbar, I no longer have to come in over here and dig through and try to find that. It's right up front, right at the screen. The next thing I would do with this is I'm going to break this apart, and that then allows me to delete the original or the inside boundary that I had created. Let me just go ahead and delete that. So there's my cut line. I go into my roll-in color palette, I give this the proper color, and I'm off to the races. Very quick and very easy. Now, I mentioned there was two ways to customize the interface. Let me just collapse the object styles. Gives us a little bit more real estate. Shift F4 to zoom to my entire page. And now, excuse me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another way to create a custom toolbar. But first, there's two keyboard sequences that I need to mention. The first is the Control-Alt. And what the Control-Alt will do is holding Control-Alt down while I grab one of these tools allows me to actually take this and drag it right onto the page and start to create a new toolbar. Still with the Control-Alt held down, I can click and drag and bring that onto the page. As simple as that. The other keyboard shortcut that I want to mention is the Shift plus Alt. Shift plus Alt, as I click and drag, watch the icon, you'll notice it's the X. I'll put this here, and what that's actually done is it's moved it from the current location to the new location. If I select this and then click and drag, I've actually deleted it from that toolbar. It's no longer around. Of course, we know that I can go up to my Arrange menu, Shaping, and get Boundary back and put it right back in there. Left click and drag, I'll bring that right back up, holding the Control plus Alt key down, and now I've put that right back into that toolbar. So very quick, very easy to create a toolbar. The disadvantage to doing it this way is if I've created multiple toolbars this way, from my tools, go down to Customization, go to Command Bars, you'll see that my toolbars no longer don't have names associated to them. So if I had created a Print Cut toolbar, I might want to call that Print Cut. I'll click OK to this. And now if I took this toolbar and I undocked it, you'll see that it actually has the name Print Cut. And it looks like my toolbars are quite large, so maybe something I've changed in the tools and the options setting. I'm going to just close this one off. I'll close this off. I'm going to create another toolbar using that same process. So the first tool I want to bring out is from my toolbox. And now if I was to grab the polygon tool, Control plus Alt and drag that out. I'll actually have the drop down out here with it, which makes it kind of nice. I don't want that, but let me just get the here. I'm going to grab my graph paper tool. The next thing I want to do is I want to go to bitmap menu and convert to bitmap. Left click and drag, and I can actually drag menu items out and put them on a toolbar. Another nice thing as well is if, for example, I wanted to, for those who have CorelDRAW X5, the Open Recent menu item is actually second from the bottom. For the release of CorelDRAW X6, we moved that to the top. Shift plus Alt, you can actually take your Open Recent and move it from the bottom back up to the top. Makes it up at the top quicker and easier to access. So again, Control plus Alt, you can move items around. If I do a Shift plus Alt or a Shift plus Alt, I can take my text menu and I can click and drag and put it over here. I can completely move these menus around and make them any which way that I want to. Now, I'm going to finish creating this menu item here, or this toolbar rather. I've brought out the convert to bitmap. The next tool I want is from my bitmap menu. I'm going to, just a second here. Sorry, from the effects menu, Control plus Alt, take the adjust, and I'm going to drop that down here. I want to bring out the Smart Fill tool. Now here's a situation we come into from time to time. The toolbar is in the way. Just let it go. It's simply a matter of moving your toolbar to another location. Click and drag, and I'll bring this out here. And very quick, very easy. I've managed to put that in there. And then the final one I want to put on here is from my text menu, and of course I've moved it now. And I'm moving too fast here. From the text menu down to Fit Text to Path. And I'll simply drop that on the toolbar as well. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a little page layout very quickly to show you how quick and easy modification or something like this can be. First thing I'm going to do is I want to create a graph paper, piece of graph paper. One thing I haven't done as of yet that I meant to do, so let me just do this very quickly, and that's keyboard shortcuts. Keyboard shortcuts, very easy to do. From my Tools menu down to Customization. And there's a few keyboard shortcuts that I use quite a bit. One is the wireframe. I like to go into wireframe quite a bit. And wireframe by default doesn't have a keyboard shortcut associated to it. So if I click on Commands, I select Shortcut Keys. From the File menu, I want to go down to the View menu. We know that wireframe is in the View menu. I'll go down, I'll select wireframe, and I'll assign a keyboard shortcut, the letter W. Click Assign to that. Now, of course, to get out of wireframe, I need to go to Enhanced View. I'll select Enhanced. And I'm going to use the letter, no, I'm not going to use E, I'm going to use Q. And the reason I use Q is because E is assigned to even for alignment, and Q and W are side by side, so it makes it a lot easier. Also from the Arrange menu, I'll select the group. I'll select the letter G. You'll notice that it's currently assigned to the interactive fill. If I wish to, I can select Navigate to Conflict on Assign. And what that's going to do is once I assign it, it's automatically going to bring up the interactive fill and allow me to change the keyboard shortcut for that. I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to click Assign. And of course, I've done the group. I also want to do the ungroup. I see no point in having to use two keys on the keyboard when a single key will do. And for those maybe who have smaller hands, it's a lot easier to tap a single letter than it is to stretch across the keyboard to select multiple keys. While I'm in here, if I wanted to, I can go to a break apart as well, and I can assign a keyboard shortcut to that. The letter K works quite well. Control K, of course, is break apart, but the letter K will work. And one final one back in the View menu, down to Page Sorter View. And for that one, I use the letter S, and it's easy to remember. S is in sorter. I'll click OK to this, and as you can see, I can very quickly go into page sorter view. I can go into wireframe. I can quit wireframe. Very easy to go back. I'm going to tap the letter U to ungroup those. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these elements here, and for some reason that did not ungroup. I'm going to move these elements over a little bit. I'll marquee select these ones here. Here's another little trick. If I hold the Alt key down, I don't have to completely surround the entire objects that I want to select. So long as the marquee is touching those, it will actually select them for me. So again, just hold the Alt key down when you select that. I can pull this out. I'm going to select these elements, group that. I'll select these and group that. This is another little bit of a keyboard shortcut as well. We have the new toolbar in X6, the layout toolbar, and a layout toolbar allows me to create a power clip frame. Well, if I want to create all of these as power clip frames, I have to select them all individually and do that. If I group them all into a single group, I can very quickly convert them all to power clip frames and then ungroup them. So I now have separate power clip frames that I can then go ahead and use. Let's make sure they're all ungrouped. And for the paragraph or for the text frames, unfortunately, I have to go through one frame at a time. I can't very easily select them all and turn them all to text frames. Those that have used CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6 and the layout toolbar, you'll find that it's a great time saver. The other thing is to get a nice visualization. Right-click, insert placeholder text. I can actually put placeholder text in these frames and get a better idea as to what my document is going to look like. I'm going to show you another little trick with respects to importing images. And let me just finish this one last one. I want to create a little sort of a botanical guide or gazette, if you will, almost like a newsletter. So I need to import graphic images into this. I'm just going to click on my import dialog box, and I see that I've already deleted that. So let me go to File, Import, or I can do a Control-I. I'm going to go into my area here. Let me just resize this screen a bit. Now, one thing that you may not be aware of, I can certainly grab an image, I can click on the import, I can place the image. In CorelDRAW, I can also select these images, left-click and drag right out of that window, and it will drop them right into my document. Now, it's simply a matter of hitting Cancel, F4 to zoom to everything. I'll deselect off the side. I'm going to hold my Alt key down. I mentioned this already. Click and drag, and that allows me to select all of my elements. L for left alignment, T for top, and we know that these images are, I know that these images are all the same size, so they're all perfectly lined up. I want to resize them all at once. I'm going to set those to about 1.5 inches. I want to make sure that my maintain aspect ratio is locked. And here's my images already sized down for me. And for those that have been around CorelDRAW for quite some time, will know that, and actually those should probably be a little bit bigger. Good enough. Those that have been around CorelDRAW for some time are probably aware of the fact that if you resize a bitmap in the way that I did now, do not use that in your document as is, simply because we've reduced the physical measurement, but not the physical weight of that file. What I mean by that is if I look at this particular image on my status bar, I can see that's over 1200 dpi. That is way too big to use in any document, not needed. Very quick, very easy. Bitmap, convert to bitmap, that's all there is to it. I'm simply going to move all of these out of the way. Bitmap, convert to bitmap, and I can go through the entire thing very quick instead of having to go up to my bitmap menu, up to convert to bitmap and select that. Very quick, very easy to do it this way. And I think I've got one more hiding in here. I've also added another effect by adding the adjust. I'm going to go to, let's go to hue, saturation, and lightness, and let's make these really psychedelic for all those mushroom fans out there. All right, F4 zooms to my entire page, and very quick, very easy, I can go through and drop this on. And of course, one nice thing about this new power clip frame within CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6 is this little bar. Very quick, very easy. I can center my contents. I have the ability to fit it proportionally or stretch to fit the contents. It's very quick and very easy for me to position this stuff on the screen and make it much more easy to create my document. There's a this layout toolbar up here, and let's just close this off. So that's very quick and very easy, an easy way to create a document. And the last thing I'll do here is I'm just going to do a Control-N. That's going to move that back. I have the ability to add a frame in here, and I'll make that into a text frame, fill that with placeholder text, and so there's the start of a little newsletter that very easy to do. Okay, we've talked about arranging toolbars. I've talked about arranging menu items. The other thing I want to show is I'm just going to slip right back into the tools and then customization, and I want to talk very briefly, I'm looking at my time as well, I want to talk very briefly about the shortcut keys. One thing I need to mention is if you've gone through and customized a lot of keyboard shortcuts and are having problems remembering what they are, simply clicking on the View All allows me to get a list. I can either print this out or export it to a CSV file. One thing I should point out is that there are a couple of different tables, and these are shortcut key tables. The reason we have a shortcut key table is because if I'm in text editing mode, the letter A should give me the letter A. The letter T should give me a letter T. If I'm in graphic mode or my main mode, T is used to align for top. So we have to have a couple of different, we call them lookup tables for my shortcut keys. So that's what that's all about. The other thing is under Appearance. And the appearance is basically how the icon will look on screen, what these menus say across the top. For example, in my File menu, you'll notice here I have a mnemonic. Now let me just select Close. The mnemonic is basically the character that by default is underlined. So when I hit the Alt key, letter F, it will go to the File menu, and if I tap the letter C, it will go and close this. We have the ability to completely customize this. This makes me think of a story back in CorelDRAW 10 days where we had this ingenious gentleman in Holland, and at the time we did not have there was no Dutch version of CorelDRAW 10, and what this gentleman did is he went through the entire interface and translated all the menu labels into Dutch. He then saved out the workspace and had it for sale on his site. Very easy to do that. I don't really speak any foreign languages to talk about. What I'm going to do is going to make a couple changes here, and I sort of thought pirates are kind of a fun thing. So I'm going to very quickly, very easily change some of these menu items around. If I go down to New, for example. New, I might want to change that to, oh, I don't know, hoist the sail. So you can see you can have a lot of fun with this in CorelDRAW and just change some of these around. If I click on Save, or let's go to Exit, and this one will be Abandon Ship. I have the ability as well, I can create this as the mnemonic for here. I know S is already set to save, but I'm going to make it the letter P, and that will allow me to get down to the print. I have the ability as well to change my icon. I'm basically run out of time. I think I've shown you most of what I want to do, so I'm just going to be very quick about this. If I was to just scribble in here, I have the ability to not only change the icon, change the color, but I can also import my own icon, and I'm just going to grab this one here for the fun of it. I'll click OK. You'll notice if I go to my File menu now, I have Hoist the Sail, I have Walk the Plank, and at the bottom, of course, I have Abandon Ship with the new icon that I created. Now that I've done all the customization, The final step is to go Tools, Options. I want to select Workspace, and here we have the ability to export. I can dictate what features of the customization I want to export, or I can select all of them. You'll notice that I have the ability to email or to save. If I save, I can share it with a colleague beside me. If I email it, I can email it to my home system, and I can then turn around and import that into my home system, and I'll have the ability to have the same workspace, the same customization, and the same everything on my home system. One final thing I want to show is resetting defaults for CorelDRAW. If you've customized the interface and you want to get back to the original, there's two ways to do that. One is to launch the application with the F8 key held down, and so it's just a matter of holding down the F8. I'll launch the application. You're going to get a message that says, are you sure you wish to overwrite the current workspace settings with the factory defaults? Simply click yes to that, and it will do a lot of the resetting for me. Create a new blank document. I'll click OK, and you can see that all of my menus are back where they belong. The other way, and I'm not going to do it because of time, is Windows key letter R. Simply type in %appdata%. When I click OK, I want to go into the Corel folder, and I'm going to delete this file. I recommend actually, instead of deleting it, just rename it. Sometimes when you create custom textures, they are located in there, they're stored in there, and you wouldn't want to lose those. Let me just open up my file one last time. I want to show you the final slide that I have, and I'm going to call this Free and Fabulous. Let me just open up this here. I just hit S for page sorter view, forgetting that I had reset my defaults. All right, additional resources for those new to the application. There's a couple of resources that are quite useful. For those that aren't new to the application, well, they'd be useful as well. I'm going to Corel.com. From the Product tab, I'm going to select CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6, select Resources, and then for CorelDRAW Pros. If you click on this link here, a couple things I want to point out. First off, the official guide is an 800-plus page book on CorelDRAW that goes into quite a bit of detail. Bring It Home with CorelDRAW is the book that I've published, 250 pages. It is tutorial based and it is non-version specific. I talk to users that have CorelDRAW 3, X3, 4, 5, and 6. So it's very easy to follow. The other thing I want to point out in here is the Getting Started Guide. This is an 8-page PDF file that will take you through the CorelDRAW, a brief overview, as well as providing you with keyboard shortcuts. That's free of charge, it's free to download, and it's simply from that link. And then, of course, the Learning Center is a project that I'm part of, corel.com/learning, and you'll find in the drop-down Watch Tutorials, brings you here. And there's a number of different tutorials that help you learn the application and become more proficient with it. So with that, that brings me to the end of this session. I want to thank everybody very much. I'm now going to turn it over to Kevin for any questions that we may have, and we'll see what we can do.
Thanks, Roger. Appreciate it. Let's. We do have some questions I want to pass along to you that came in through while you're presenting. Great job in terms of covering the customization capabilities of CorelDRAW. One of the first questions is, can you move your custom setting bars, shortcut keys, to a new version of CorelDRAW? And I think you did cover that.
That's a very good question. But the question is a new version of CorelDRAW. So, for example, customization from X5 to X6. I believe the answer to that is no, although I've never tried it. What I will do is, I don't know if we have the ability to, well, we do have the ability to determine who posted that question. And so what I'll do is I'll run a quick little test after this session, and I'll email the answer out.
Thank you. How can I make my Dockers always open stacked instead of side by side? Is that doable?
I've tried that this morning. I think we've removed that capability. So just so I understand what you're referring to is I have my Dockers side by side like this, and you want to have them top and bottom. I'm assuming that's what it is. If that is it, please mention in the chat. Otherwise, we'll try to see what we can find out for that.
Thank you. Can we create a customized toolbar with various assorted tools put together in one bar?
Yes, absolutely. So again, Control plus Alt. I can bring whichever tools I want. Not only can I bring them from the toolbox, my drop-down menus, as well as the menus up in here. So you certainly can bring a number of different tools out from different locations on the screen and drop them in there. You cannot put color swatches in a toolbar. So I could not, for example, add the cut contour color into a toolbar unless I'm using scripting. I also cannot customize the Dockers. The contents of the Docker stays like that. I can't take elements from the Docker, but those elements are probably elsewhere in an application. In the application, so I might be able to take those out.
Thank you. Is there an easy way to reset back to factory defaults, or can these defaults be tied to the current document rather than new documents?
No, the defaults are not tied to a specific document. They're within the application itself. That being said, my suggestion is to save the workspace, and you can certainly, from the tools down to options, highlight workspace. I could have multiple workspaces in here. So you could certainly go back up if you're doing, for example, vinyl cutting, and then you do laser engraving or sublimation. You could have workspaces for each of those verticals. You can certainly do it that way, but not tied to a specific document.
Okay, and this last one may not be exactly relevant, but it is asked, can you view different working documents in tab format?
Different working documents in tabbed format. I don't believe you can. However, well, actually, you can do it tile and cascade. That would be about the best you could do. Not as a tab. I don't know if that answers the question.
And one final one before we wrap up. How can I change the standard zoom sizes and line weights displayed? Zoom goes from 200 to 400%.
Very good question. And so I understand correctly. I'm just going to here. You're talking about these standard sizes, I would imagine. I don't believe you can. That being said, Windows, Dockers, and Zoom. View Manager, I'm sorry, View Manager. In here we can set a number of different zoom levels or zoom presets, and so you can use the Docker to zoom you to that specific zoom level, if you will. So definitely create presets in here. If I zoom in, I want to add this one. If I zoom back out, I want to add that. So as you can see, I have different zoom levels that I've created, and it's simply a matter of clicking on the one you want to go to, and it'll take you to that level.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you, Roger. I think you've answered most of the questions that people have been posting. If there are any further questions, please do send them in, and we'll try to get back to you after we close down here. I do want to thank Roger for sharing some of your techniques and CorelDRAW and how you can customize, you know, you're displaying the capabilities of the product and how people can create their own workspaces to make them more productive in the different work they are doing. I want to thank everyone on the line for your interest in CorelDRAW Graphics Suite. I'd like to let you know that if you'd like more information on CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X6 or to download the free trial version, simply visit CorelDRAW or corel.com/CorelDRAW. For your information, next month, webinar will happen on Thursday, July 11th, 2013 at noon to 1. Richard Riley, our freelance graphic designer and CorelDRAW master, will show you various special effects in CorelDRAW. To register, go to corel.com/CorelDRAW-webinars. We hope to see you there. I wish you all the